السلام ورحمة الله.
You handled it well?
Yes, sir.
On time?
Yes, that's right.
Very good. For future, I have a very interesting and good plan, which we shall reveal later on to you. So there's a whole Arab class for the whole week will move full volume. With so many real questions, they need to be answered and so on and so forth. In the meantime, whatever questions arise in your minds, continue to ask them. Please.
So the first question I want to present is from Mrs. Maha Dabus from Qadian.
Acha, mashallah.
She says that my dear...
How is she? She's all right?
Yes, she's all right.
Good.
She writes that my dear Huzur and all my brothers and sisters, member of the family of Liqa Ma Arab.
Mashallah.
I send my salam and greetings to all of you from Darul Aman, the birthplace of Al-Masih al-Maud
Mashallah.
and Al-Mahdi al-Mahud alayhi salatu wassalam. She says, my question is regarding one of the Urdu passages written by Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wassalam. In his book Kashti-e-Nuh, he says, नफसानियत की फरबही छोड़ दो कि जिस दरवाज़े के लिए तुम बुलाए गए हो उसमें से एक फरबा इंसान दाखिल नहीं हो सकता. She says the English rendering would be something like this, that abstain from the fatness of the self, because the door to which you are called, a fat person cannot enter through that. She says, my first question in relation to this passage is that I understand that the fatness here is of the self, not of the body, but still I cannot...
Most certainly.
Yes.
She's unduly worried. Please.
But still I cannot fully understand what is this nafsaniyat ki farbahi that we must avoid. Kindly explain it for me.
First translation, please.
هذا السؤال من الأخت الكريمة مها دبوس. أرسلت تهنئتها وسلامها لحضرة أمير المؤمنين وإلى كل من يشارك في هذا البرنامج لقاء مع العرب، وقالت إنني أرسل رسالتي هذه مضمنة ببعض الأسئلة من قاديان دار الأمان مسقط رأس حضرة الإمام المهدي عليه السلام. وسؤالها الأول كان يخص ببعض ما كتبه حضرة الإمام المهدي عليه السلام، وترجمة ذلك الآتي: واتركوا تسمين النفسانية لأن الباب الذي نوديتم إليه لا يقدر السامن على الدخول منه. وهذا في كتاب حضرته عليه السلام سفينة نوح. فتسأل الأخت الكريمة وتقول: هنا قد أكد حضرته على تسمين النفسانية، فما هو المفهوم الصحيح، وهل هنالك علاقة بالتسمين الجسمي أم لا بخصوص هذا المفهوم؟
First of all, I should point out to our sister Mahadabus that she is being missed here. While she was here, she played a great part in everything of service to Jamaat Ahmadiyya and Islam, of course, as one and the same thing. But being an Arab lady, and also a very highly educated lady, who is an engineer by profession, she filled many vacuums which their absence have created again. But still, with the grace of Allah, new people come and replace the old ones. This is a continuous process. But she is remembered by me particularly many a time, and for that I should tell her that keep it in mind and pray us all, remember us all in her prayers. That is my first response to her question. The second response is that, like always, her English is a little deficient. Whenever she expresses herself very well, but with deficient English, because she was not brought up from the childhood as in an English school, and she learnt English herself, particularly of her own profession. She's good at that profession, but in translations, many a time I found room for improvement. So fatness is not at all what is meant here. This fatness has reminded her of the bodily or corporal fatness. The words of Hazrat Masih al-Islam are so clear that they could not be applied to any bodily or carnal fatness in the remotest sense. So whatever translation, it should be clear. It should not give the wrong idea that perhaps he is talking also a body. You should remember that old Messiah also said something like this, that those who are big-headed people, who consider themselves big, arrogantly, those who are rich, particularly the rich are hit by Jesus Christ, they will not enter heaven because they cannot go through the eye of the needle through which they will have to pass. So similar expressions have been made by Hazrat Muslim alayhi salam elsewhere. Now he points out to something which also carries hope. In the declaration of Messiah, there seems to be no hope. It seems to be impossible for any big-headed person or rich man to enter heaven. But Hazrat Masih has spoken of the very central point which relates to such expressions. We have our ego. Every human being has his ego. As long his ego is swelled and he considers himself to be great, he will not enter heaven. And this ego can be reduced and squeezed into such a size that a person may walk through easily through the eye of a needle. So Hazrat Muslim is not just speaking in parables and mysterious expressions. He also solves the problems by telling human beings that they're just such expressions to warn you against the big task. But actually every man can pass through the needle test if he himself reduces his ego and humiliates himself and becomes a humble servant of God. So be that, and know what is translated as fattiness, what is also termed in English as obesity. But here I should think that the translation should be the arrogant bigness of your own self. Reduce that to a minimum size, or wipe it out altogether if you can. Then inshallah you will enter the gates of heaven. This is the meaning of all that passage, right?
يقول حضرة أمير المؤمنين: أولا أريد أن أنوه في بداية هذه الحلقة بالأعمال الجليلة التي كانت تقوم بها الأخت مها دبوس هنا في مركز الجماعة بلندن. ويقول حضرته أنها امرأة مثقفة وعلى درجة عالية أيضا، حتى وهي خريجة جامعة، وبالنسبة لمهنتها كانت مهندسة هنا في بريطانيا، مهندسة معمارية. ويقول حضرته
Remember also Hilmi Shafi Sahib. She used to work with Hilmi Shafi Sahib, and he sat on this chair and she sat on that chair.
ويقول حاطب المؤمنين أنها أيضا كانت تساعد الأستاذ المرحوم محمد حلمي الشافعي لما كان رحمه الله يترجم هذه الحلقات من برنامج لقاء مع العرب، وكانت تجلس الأخت مها في الزاوية الأخرى من هذا الاستوديو. يقول حضرته أيضا أنني تذكرتها مرارا، خصوصا في هنا في لندن، خصوصا لتلك الفراغات الكبيرة التي كانت تملأها مثلا في فريق الباحثات أو في مجالات أخرى. ويقول حضرته أنني ويذكرني حضرته، يقول خصوصا هذا فريق الباحثات التي كانت تعمل معهن الأخت مها دبوس قد فعلا تركت فراغا كبيرا هنالك، وخصوصا لأنها كانت امرأة عربية ولها معرفة أيضا وتجارب في الناحية العملية وفي الأمور الدينية. ودائما في الجماعة الإسلامية الأحمدية هنالك من يأتي هؤلاء الوجوه الجديدة وتغطي هذه الفراغات أو النقائص ولكن ليس بنفس الصورة. فيقول حضرته لذلك أنا تذكرتها مرارا، وخصوصا تذكرت خدماتها الجليلة، ولذلك يقول حضرته يطلب منها أن تدعو لحضرته بالدرجة الأولى وإلينا جميعا بالدرجة الثانية. ثم يقول حضرته عن نقطة هامة ثانية، يقول بما أن الأخت مها دبوس قد تعلمت اللغة الإنجليزية في بلدها مصر، فلذلك اللغة الإنجليزية ليست لغتها الأم، فأنا أحس بعض الأحيان بضعف أو خلل في تعبيرها عن أفكارها أو مشاعرها باللغة الإنجليزية، وهذا فعلا ما أحسست به في سؤالها في هذه الحلقة. ثم تطرق حضرته للإجابة على سؤال الأخت مها دبوس، ويقول أن السمنة المذكورة هنا في كلام حضرة أحمد عليه السلام لا علاقة لها بسمنة الجسم، ونفس الموضوع قد تحدث عنه المسيح الناصري عيسى ابن مريم عليه السلام، وقال شيئا مشابه بهذا، وقال عليه السلام أن الشخص المتكبر يكون مثلا له رأسه كبير، أو هذه الصفة المجازية أن ذلك الكبر يجعل وكأن رأسه هو الذي يسمن. وهكذا يقول أن هؤلاء أو هذه الفرقة لا يدخلون الجنة، أي وأكد على فرقة الأغنياء والأثرياء، فيقول أنهم لا يستطيعوا أن يمروا من ثقب الإبرة أو من سمي الخياط، فلذلك أكد على أن الأغنياء فعلا لا يستطيعون أن يمروا بهذا الامتحان لأن فيهم هذا الكبرياء. وحضرة أحمد عليه السلام قد ركز على النقاط الأساسية في هذا الموضوع وعلى جوهر هذا الموضوع، وفسر أن الأنانية هي التي تسمن وليس الجسم، وبعد أن تسمن هذه الأنانية تسمن نفس الشخص. وهكذا لما الإنسان الصالح المؤمن التقي يحطم هذا الكبر فيه، فهكذا ويكسر خاطره يتمكن المرء بسهولة وبفضل الله من الناحية المجازية المرور بسمي الخياط، أو أن ينجح في هذا الامتحان، أي أنه يستطيع أن يمر من ذلك الثقب الصغير لأنه سيحطم تلك الأنانية في نفسه.
A question from Istanbul. Since we have wisdom, is revelation necessary for the human being to reach the true path?
First of all, let me thank you for the Turkish song in which you trained our Urdu class girls and boys. It's a very deep and profound song. Who made this song? Which Turkish poet did this?
His name is Yunus Emre.
What?
Yunus Emre.
Oh, Yunus, I know. Yes,
I like
he's
him.
a great poet.
Yes.
I love Yunus. He is not only a mystic, but he is also a realist.
Yes.
He does not lose himself in mysticism alone. He goes to the depth of the matter. A very wise man he is.
Yes.
I think he is, if Turkish people don't object to that, he is the greatest Turkish poet that ever was. Do you agree?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
That poem was so profound.
Thank you. Just
Thank you so much for that. Huh? Please. Question? You asked question?
Can I translate the question? May I translate the question?
Oh, yes.
كان السؤال من أحد الأخوة من تركيا ويسأل: هل الإنسان العاقل بحاجة إلى إلهامات من الله سبحانه وتعالى كي يكون على الطريق الصحيح أو الطريق القويم؟ ثم شكر حاتم المؤمنين هذه الأخت على النشيد الذي دربت عليه الصغار الذين يحضرون في برامج تعليم اللغة الأردية، وشكر حضرته مدح في هذا الشاعر التركي، وقال عنه أنه لم يتأثر بالتصوف الإسلامي فقط ولكن كان يغوص في الأعماق، وفعلا كلامه جميل جدا. وإذا لا أجرح مشاعر الإخوة الأتراك بإمكاني أن نقول أنه أحسن شاعر تركي.
Now to the question, this is a very profound question which has been agitating the minds of religious people and secular scholars as well. The secular scholars believe that they have been given a system of light which lies within them, human mind. its faculties, human heart, human experience of the past, which goes on sharpening that faculty of judging right from the wrong. This all adds up into a mind which can see what is right and what is wrong. Where is the room for heavenly light? That is their question. But when you go through all that they have said, their internal differences appear so strong and so unaccommodating that if the internal light was sufficient for itself, why should people with internal light differ with each other? And they disagree so strongly that all the history of European philosophy stand witness to this. The internal light is not enough. Philosophers and wise people of the same age, they differ with each other, and they fumble for something they always miss. That is one point which reveals to us which reveals to us the hollowness of this claim. It can never be proved that light, human light in itself is sufficient to reach the truth. Now I turn to the great sages of the East. I do not have to name them, otherwise it will become a long list. There are many sages who believe that by delving deep into their own system, they have reached the light. But again, they have suggested systems which differ with each other. So what source of light did they touch? Why is not the answer the same? So in the name of inspiration, not revelation, the light within, they have again given birth to different religions and different ways and means of reaching the truth, which counter each other. So no dependability at all. But again, one thing which they forget is that internal light is like the faculty of sight. If there is no external light, the faculty of sight will not be lit. This is the true answer to the reason for to the need for revelation, which is given by the Holy Quran. The Holy Quran says, "La tudrikuhul abswaru, wa huwa yudrikul absar." La tudrikuhul abswaru, wa huwa yudrikul absar, wa huwa al-latiful khabir. قد جاءكم بصائر من ربكم فمن أبصر فلنفسه ومن عمي فعليها. आगे क्या है? ومن عمي فعليها وما أنتم وما أنا عليكم بحفيظ. Now it's a beautiful example given to mankind that although you are internally lit with great faculties, but all your faculties have a counterpart which lies beyond you. And that counterpart is created by God to enlighten you within through every faculty which He has created. The faculties themselves cannot reach anything. Eyes are an example given by Allah. The eyes can see, but if there is no light from heaven, they cannot see. What they can see perfectly matches with the heavenly light. It is as if an engineer has created both the heavenly light and the faculty of sight. And if they did not agree with each other perfectly, man still could not see. So rationality is of course important, but rationality without these five senses, which receive their operative faculties, which receive their operativeness from Allah, which depend for their operation on things which lie beyond, which are not of their creation, but they match with them perfectly. Look at the hearing. If I start describing you how the air works, it will be astounding. Absolutely no ordinary person who does not have a knowledge of science and who knows how the air drum is made itself and how it works and how everything which it receives from outside is turned into symbols of pulses. And there is a counterpart behind in the brain which deciphers those symbols. The sound does not strike directly that thing. Then he would realize the claim of this verse, that human faculties cannot reach Allah. It is Allah who reaches them. So if in this physical world we have this system, why should this system not be extended to the spiritual world which is created by Allah? There the rationality will have to play another role of knowing God and coming into contact with Him. When rationality comes into contact with God, then there has to be a response. By itself it cannot reach, like the eyes. And that light is Sirajul Munira. Now we can turn to it as the Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who was the Sirajul Munira, who made us see with his light what our faculties were already ready to receive. So if you read Surah Nur and all the messages written therein, of which I have spoken many a time before, I have given many sermons on those verses. I don't want to repeat them, but your question is all connected with that. So I hope this should be sufficient for the person who asked this question and for other viewers as well.
كان السؤال أذكركم مرة أخرى: هل يحتاج الإنسان العاقل إلى وحي أو إلهام من الله سبحانه وتعالى كي يبقى على الطريق الصحيح؟ فأجاب حضرة أمير المؤمنين على هذا السؤال قائلا: لهذا السؤال أبعاد كثيرة جدا، فلذلك سأحاول أيضا أن أجيب عليه بعجالة. يقول حضرته أن كثير من الفلاسفة وعلماء الظاهر يؤكدون ولا زالوا يؤكدون على القدرات العقلية الموجودة في الإنسان للتفريق بين الصح والخطأ، وأيضا لحل المشاكل الهامة في مجتمعاتهم. وهؤلاء لا يبالون بنور الوحي أو ذلك النور الخارجي، ويركزون فقط على النور الداخلي في الإنسان أو نور عقل الإنسان. ويقول حضرته: بإمكانكم أن تدرسوا ما كتبه كثير من الفلاسفة عبر التاريخ، فستجدون اختلافات كثيرة بينهم، وهذا فعلا يبرز ضعف أفكارهم. ثم يقول حضرتهم: لكن هنالك كثير من الحكماء خصوصا في الشرق، ولا أريد أن أسميهم، يقول حضرتهم مثلا هؤلاء أكدوا وحاولوا أن يفهموا هذا الموضوع، وقالوا أن الإنسان الذي يفتش في داخله ويفهم نفسه سيصل إن شاء الله إلى خالقه ويفهم ربه أكثر وأكثر، ووضعوا أساليب وأسس وطرق مختلفة لهذه النظريات التي وضعوها. وفي آخر الأمر، في آخر المطاف، إذا يدرس الإنسان هذه النقاط سيجد تناقضات في أفكارهم وكتاباتهم وأمور مختلفة كثيرا. فيقول حاضر منه يفسر هذه النقطة، يقول أن النور الداخلي الموجود في الإنسان أو نور عقل الإنسان يمكن لنا أن نضرب لذلك مثال ونتحدث هنا على العين المجردة. العين المجردة في الإنسان لما يكون الإنسان في غرفة مظلمة مثلا لا يستطيع أن يرى شيء في ذلك المحيط، ولكن لما يدخل مثلا نور الشمس أو نور من أي مصدر آخر بإمكان الإنسان أن يفهم ويعي ويرى تلك الأشياء الموجودة في محيطه. وهكذا يقول حضرته بنفس الصفة هذه الأمور تحدث في الحياة المادية للإنسان، ويحتاج فيها إلى مصدر نور كي يفهم ويعي الموجودات والأشياء الموجودة في محيطه. فبنفس الصورة كي يفهم الإنسان الأمور التي تجري في العالم الروحاني يكون بحاجة إلى نور من الله سبحانه وتعالى كي يفهم ويعي ما يحدث. ثم قرأ حضرته آية من القرآن الكريم. لا تدركه الأبصار.
This verse and the following.
وهي بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا تدركه الأبصار وهو يدرك الأبصار وهو اللطيف الخبير. قد جاءكم بصائر من ربكم فمن أبصر فلنفسه ومن عمي فعليها وما أنا عليكم بحفيظ. قد فسر حضرة أمير المؤمنين هذه الآية وكيف أن لها علاقة هامة بموضوع بحثنا، وقال وواصل تفسيره وقال انظروا كيف أن الله سبحانه وتعالى يؤكد أن هذه القوة وهذه الشحنات الروحانية والنورانية يجب أن تأتي من الله سبحانه وتعالى، ويجب على الإنسان يكون فيه استعداد ويبذل مجهود بدرجة ما كي يفهم هذه الأمور الروحانية وكي يبقى أيضا بفضل الله في ذلك الطريق الصحيح. ويضرب بعد هذا أيضا حاضر المؤمنين مثال آخر يتعلق بالحواس الخمس، ويقول مثلا للإنسان كي يفهم الأصوات التي تأتي من الخارج فالأذن فيها إمكانيات لذلك، ولكن يقول حضرته هذه أمور دقيقة جدا. فالصوت الذي يصل إلى الأذن لا يصل في صورة صوت ولكن يصل في صورة ذبذبات مختلفة غير واضحة، ولكن هنالك جهاز وراء أذن الإنسان بإمكان ذلك الجهاز إذا قلنا من الناحية المجازية أن يترجم هذه الذبذبات وهذه الإشارات وتصبح صوت واضح يعيه ويفهمه الإنسان ثم يجيب حسب مقتضاه. فهكذا يقول حاتم المؤمنين أن النور الإلهي قد وصفه الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم بالسراج المنير، أي حضرة محمد المصطفى صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم الذي بعثه الله سبحانه وتعالى كنور للإنسانية جمعاء كي يهدينا إلى ذلك الطريق، ونحن لا زلنا إلى يومنا هذا وإلى يوم يبعثون نستفيد من نور محمد المصطفى صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. ثم في آخر حديثه يقول حاتم المؤمنين أنني تحدثت على هذا الموضوع بالتفصيل في خطب كثيرة وفي مجالس مختلفة، وأرجو وأود أن هذا القصد سيلبي ويكون كافيا للسادة المشاهدين الأفاضل.
Again, you should remember that the light we see with our eyes, it may not be seen by the eyes of other animals. The light which they see with their eyes, we may not see that. This is how God has created differences between animals and humans in many ways. The sound we hear, we think it's so simple and easy, our ears can hear a sound. But there are sounds which can only be heard by dogs. For you, there is absolutely quiet and calm. But the dogs who need those sounds, Allah has provided them with that. Similarly, there are birds who need some sounds which human ears just cannot hear. It's impossible. But they require them, and Allah knows that what they require, so their ears are created exactly to receive the sounds, and their minds are created just to decipher those sounds. So the whole world is strange. We don't know. We are just a small spectrum and talk big against God. We're just nothing. It is He, whenever He decides to reach you, He would reach you. Otherwise you cannot reach anything.
يقول حضرة أمير المؤمنين أن مثلا النور الذي بإمكان الإنسان أن يراه ليس بالضرورة للحيوان أن يرى نفس النور. وأيضا يقول حضرته أن هنالك كثير من الأصوات وبعض الأصوات يسمعها الكلب ولا يستطيع الإنسان أن يسمعه ولا يدري حتى أنها موجودة. ونفس الأصوات أيضا بعض الطيور تسمعها ولكن الإنسان لا يدري ولا يعرف ولا يفقه كنهها. فهكذا الله سبحانه وتعالى خلق وأوجد في دماغ وفي مخ كل هذه وجميع هذه الكائنات بصفة مختلفة كي تنقي وتستمع إلى الأصوات الذي تساعدها على استمرار نوعها. فالله سبحانه وتعالى بهذه الصفة وضع هذا التقسيم وهذا التنظيم المحكم. ويقول حضرته انظروا الإنسان لا يفهم حتى هذه الأمور البسيطة ولكن يستعمل بعض الأحيان كلمات صعبة وقاسية على الله سبحانه وتعالى. وفي الحقيقة هذه النقاط تبرز وتثبت ضعف الإنسان ولكن الله سبحانه وتعالى فضلا ورحمة منه دائما يصل إلى الإنسان ويعطيه هذه التوجيهات التي تنفعه.
جزاكم الله. And with that we come to the end, right? Oh, I'm sorry. I was hurrying through. I thought it was 12:30, 1:30 that you finished. I'm glad. Alhamdulillah. Then I was looking at the watch and trying to be brief as far as possible. Now we can turn to the next, the other questions, please.
From Germany.
So there's a question from Germany, Dr. Saeed.
Doctor?
سعيد.
Yes.
من المعروف أن الإمام المهدي عليه السلام سيملأ الأرض عدلا وقسطا بعد انتشار الفساد قبل بعثته، فهل ترى حضرتك تحقق هذه الأمور في يومنا هذا، خصوصا أن الشعب الفلسطيني لا يزال يضطهد ويعذب أمام أنظار العالم؟
Translation into English.
Yes, he said this is Dr. Saeed from he's residing in Germany. He said we know that before the advent of Hazrat Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, mischief will be spread all over the world, but after his advent justice will prevail and there will be no room for mischief. Do you think that
no room for
mischief, fasad?
Mischief.
He said, do you think that this prophecy has been fulfilled up to today, especially the Palestinian people still suffering in the hand of the Jews?
Yes. I think whatever the words of hadith, this is most certainly, if there is an authentic hadith on this subject, it has most certainly been misunderstood. Because whatever all the prophets of God before Messiah could not achieve, he will not be able to achieve. Adl has been throughout the question, right from the beginning of religion, from the time of Adam. And the deviation from Adl has always caused troubles. So does the questioner really believe that what all the prophets of Allah before failed to create, a world of Adl, or at least a small island of Adl, that was not even created by Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he appeared during his own time. Even among the believers there was not perfect Adl, and he stood watch over that and he reminded them. And the rest of Arabia and the society was filled with jawr, and the moment he shut his eyes and returned to Allah, in the world of so-called Islam, which had conquered Arabia, it began to rise against the very concept of Adl. They filled the Arabia again with jawr and fisq. The greatest of the achievements of Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu is not just to turn the tide back. He was only concerned with the state rights. He was concerned as long as you pay zakat with which the state is run, it's all right. Even if somebody hears a call of azan from a people who have been mischievous before, he told his representatives, nothing to do with that village. You hear the call, and that is sufficient. But did he fill all the Arabia with Adl again or not? That's the question. What happened at the time of Hazrat Usman? what happened at the time of Hazrat Ali Rizwanullah alayhi. So all that Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu and his companions could achieve was only a seed of Adl, or small islands of Adl, which were created within the companions and those who believed in him. But beyond, all the world lay as barren as it was before. So the point to be remembered is that at least I cannot believe, being a servant of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu, that what he, as the greatest of all masters, could not achieve, his servant Imam Mahdi would achieve, or Isa would achieve, and would achieve in a manner as is against the Holy Quran, which stands counter to the claims of the Holy Quran. According to the Holy Quran, the mischievous people who reject the truth will live up to the day of Qiyamah. According to the Holy Quran, Jesus will descend to do certain things, but he will not be able to create such adl as will turn the entire world into heaven. He may kill the swine, he may break the cross, but still there will be Christians who, in a manner of speaking, would find no cross to worship, but they will not be filled with adl. Or if you are filled with adl, you are like a mu'min, like a believer. The moment you are filled with adl, you reject Jesus Christ, the Son of God. So according to the Holy Quran, such Christian will live on till the day of time, till the day of resurrection, who will not follow adl, who will continue, who would, according to the prophecy, would continue to believe in Jesus Christ as Son of God, which is against adl. So why do they believe in a prophecy which has been given a lie by the Holy Quran? Why do they believe in a prophecy which has been contradicted by the entire testimony of religious history? Why do they believe in a prophecy which is, as a human being, impossible for you to believe in? Can you believe a time when all the world, all the rascals, all the mischief-mongers, all who live for their own selfish ends, who commit all sorts of crimes, would suddenly, out of the blue, become so pious that the whole field will be filled with adl? It's impossible. Human wisdom rejects this idea. And if they are filled with adl, why should there be qiyamah on them? That's another question. If the earth is filled with adl by the Messiah, why within his lifetime, almost within his lifetime, there will be a doomsday, which must come to wipe out a humanity which is described as worst under the firmament of heaven. Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah predicts that Qiyamah will come on Ashrar al-Nas. So how do they relate these two things? Whichever way they look at this hadith, it simply cannot mean what the questioner has taken it to mean. Or he will have to defy the Quranic versions and predictions, he will have to defy religious history, he will have to defy Hazrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's clear prediction of the future, and he will have to reject common sense. As such, he may believe in it. We have nothing to do with him. But then if he inquires, what is the answer? In my belief, all prophets of Allah fill the hearts of adl of only those people who submit to them. And as such, the message of Imam Mahdi will reach all the corners of the earth, and there will be believers in him who will follow his instructions and his conduct, imitate his conduct. And all over the world there will be people who will stand for Adl. Now, amazingly, this has been the subject of my sermons throughout the last 2-3 years. I have not only been telling the Ahmadis but telling the whole world the importance of returning to Adl. And many secular people have also responded. But Ahmadis, wherever they are, and they are spreading all over the world, those among them who listen to my call and become dedicated to Adl, they will fulfill this prophecy, that the coming of Messiah or the coming of Jesus, of Al-Mahdi, would fill the whole world with Adl, in this sense that there will be specimen islands created all over the world, which will be the islands of Adl, like Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did in his own time. Right? Now, if I leave before you finish, I leave because of my urgent meeting below. So you continue. Huh? They will not stop this. All right.
يريد حاطب المؤمنين أن يغادر هذا البرنامج وأمرني كي أواصل الترجمة إلى أن يأتي الوقت، إلى أن ينتهي الوقت المحدد.
You can continue. I may leave.
أوكي. يقول حضرة أمير المؤمنين هنالك إساءة فهم لنص هذا الحديث النبوي الشريف. إذن يقول
I think I better leave now.
Okay.
By saying Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We'll meet again inshallah next week.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.